Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video, I will be bringing you guys my 2021 Washington football team dream off-season, so some dream trades slash free agency signings, and even some draft picks that I would really like us to make. So if you guys are new, subscribe for Washington and NFL content. So let's get right into the video. Also guys, make sure you guys check out WinXDVD, which is a site that helps you download videos from YouTube for offline watching, and you guys are going to have a chance to win a PS5 from them if you vote for who you think will be the Super Bowl champion. All of their information is in the pinned comment below and in the description. Check them out. And guys, keep in mind this is a dream off-season video, so not everything in the video is going to be extremely realistic, but we won't be going absolutely crazy. So we're actually in a very good cap situation. $35 million in cap space right now after we extended Chase Roulier, but we have a lot of cap space to create if Alex Smith retires or we decide to move on from him. We get a bunch of cap space made up, so we get up to about $48 million, and that's what the cap projected to be at about $175 million. If that changes, then it's going to go up even more, and we'll have even more cap space to spend. So now the biggest part in free agency, the quarterback position. So in my opinion, obviously there's three big name guys that are possibly going to be available this offseason. You got Deshaun Watson, Matthew Stafford, and Dak Prescott. I think it's going to be very hard for a team like Washington to be able to go after and get Deshaun Watson. They could, but I don't think they're going to end up doing. Matthew Stafford is more realistic, and Dak Prescott also would be nice because we wouldn't have to give up anything to get him, except for give him a big contract. So in my opinion, Matthew Stafford or Dak Prescott are good options. I think they're both on relatively close to the same level. You can argue who has been better lately, though. It has been Dak, but of course Matthew Stafford has had some really good years in his career, you know, with 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions in only 8 games in 2019. The good thing about Dak, though, he obviously is much younger. He's about 26 years old, but if you do acquire him in free agency, then you don't have to give up anything for him. You don't have to give up a first-round pick plus like you would for Stafford. So if we could acquire Dak Prescott in free agency, we don't have to trade for him if, you know, Dallas franchise tags him, then I would really like that option. You know, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Of course, he's on a rival team, so a lot of us don't like him, but he's a really good leader, and in 2019, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and he was on pace to go over 6,000 yards this year before he got hurt. So I would gladly welcome Dak Prescott to our team because he would also weaken, if we signed him, that would weaken the Cowboys roster as well. So it would be a win-win, but of course, I would be happy with Matthew Stafford as well. Any of those two, and you know, the obvious Deshaun Watson, but I don't think it's very likely. But who knows, if we give up a bunch of draft capital, it is possible. And now on to free agency. Let's first start off with guys that I want to re-sign. So we have $48 million in cap space. I'm not necessarily going to make a deal for Dak or Stafford. Either one's fine. If we do have Matthew Stafford on this team, it's going to be at about a $21 million cap hit, which is very team friendly. If it's Dak on the other hand, it's going to be a lot more. It's going to be somewhere 35 million, maybe even 40 million, which is a lot, but you got to think the cap is going to continue to go up, and this is the year to sign guys. Even though the cap is down, you're going to be able to get these guys at cheaper prices, and I think what teams will do, they're going to probably backload the contracts. So this year, the cap hit isn't going to be as much for the big name free agents, and it'll be larger and larger, you know, at the end of their contracts. So Dak or Matthew Stafford would be great, but our free agents, you know, Brandon Sheriff, I really think it would be a good idea to re-sign him. He's going to get a lot of money this offseason, but he made first team All-Pro. Great player for us. Only problem with him is injuries. Maybe that'll cause him to get for us to get him a little bit cheaper, but nonetheless, I want to bring him back. It's probably going to be around $13 to $16 million in that range. He's probably going to be one of the highest paid guards in NFL history. It always happens when a new deal comes, and he's the best guard, or him and Joe Thuney are the best two guards available. So let's hope he gets his deal first, so it doesn't. So Joe Thuney doesn't totally reset the market, and then he goes on top of Joe Thuney. So then after that, I would say Ronald Darby. I think we should re-sign him. He's going to be definitely much cheaper than Brandon Sheriff, but he isn't going to be very cheap. He's been a good cornerback for us this year, and we got him on a 1-year deal last year. I think we can sign him to, a 2-3+ year deal and bring him back to solidify our secondary. And that's it for players I think we need to resign. Well, actually 2 more, Kyle Allen and Taylor Heinicke. Let's bring them back, continue to develop them. It's a dream offseason, so that's why I put Matthew Stafford or Dak as our starters. But I think either way, if we want them to be starters or backup, we got to bring back those two, and we can do it for very, very cheap. So that makes our cap space a lot lower. So you got to keep in mind, especially if we do end up getting Dak Prescott. So we're not going to be able to spend $17 million, $18 million per year on a receiver like Allen Robinson. If we stick with Taylor Heinicke and Kyle Allen, we will. So the receiver that I have us going after is Curtis Samuel, who played with the Panthers last year. He's much cheaper than these other guys. He knows Scott Turner's offense. Scott Turner is going to know how to use him. Last year with the Panthers, about 851 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns, also had over 200 yards rushing and averaged about 5 yards per carry. But with Scott Turner, he averaged about 7 yards per carry. So maybe Scott Turner knows how to use him a little bit more. We'll see, though. It's going to be interesting. But I think it would be a good compliment to Terry McLaurin. He's primarily a slot guy, but he can play a little bit on the outside. Played at Ohio State, and I think he's going to be much cheaper than someone like Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin, or even someone like Corey Davis. So bring him in. Another wide receiver that I like is Marvin Jones. But if we don't sign Dak or trade for Matthew Stafford, or someone who has a big cap hit at the quarterback position, I would entertain going after someone like Allen Robinson, Corey Davis, Kenny Galladay. So now a couple free agent players on the defensive end. Actually, one more on the offensive end. I would like to go after Gerald Everett from the Rams as a backup tight end for us. He's been a good backup for them for a while, over 400 yards this year, and we need a backup, especially if Logan Thomas somehow gets hurt. We need someone who can back him up. Now on defense, I think Desmond King would be a great signing at that cornerback position. He plays cornerback and safety, can kind of play both, which is good. He provides some versatility at that position, but primarily he is used as a cornerback. He did make first team All-Pro in 2018, which is really, really impressive. This year, switched from the Titans and Chargers, and, played pretty solid. Didn't have any interceptions, but 2018 had 3 interceptions, and is a solid guy, can sack the quarterback too, force some fumbles, and he also can return kicks. Not sure about punts, but that would be an added bonus if he can do that. Another cornerback that we could sign in free agency, someone like William Jackson from the Bengals, another solid signing, more of a pure cornerback. I think he's going to get a lot of money, but who knows? Not going to get as much money as someone like Patrick Peterson and Richard Sherman. He locked down a bunch of wide receiver ones this year, so that's that. And you can go after someone like Levante David or Jayon Brown, but they're going to cost a lot of money, and we just went after a big name quarterback. So I've been in this mindset for a while. I want to go after a linebacker in this year's draft, and possibly even in the first round. So one of my biggest targets, Jeremiah Owuso Koromoa from Notre Dame. He is an absolute force on the field. 2019, about 80 tackles, 8.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. And this year they played a little bit less games, 55 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 1 interception. So he gets a bunch of tackles for loss. He had a touchdown this year. Just an absolute freak of nature. Go watch his tape. He's insane. There's some other guys. Surratt, you could go for him in the 3rd-ish round. He's a solid player. And there's some other guys, Zaven Collins. I think he's going to be a little bit later in the first round, but who knows? But those are some guys to target at that linebacker position. And then I would like us to go after receiver, maybe in that 2nd to 4th round range. Amon-Ra St. Brown from USC is a beast this year. Didn't play many games at all. The Pac-12 barely played any games and still managed to get over 500 yards, 7 touchdowns. I like Nico Collins from Michigan, Rondale Moore. There's a lot of other guys that we can get in the mid rounds. I think it's better than going after a receiver in the 1st round. That is just my opinion, though. Also, would like to address maybe another tackle, at least for depth in the late rounds. We'll see. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please smash that like button, subscribe if you guys new, and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. Obviously, I didn't spend all of our money. Also would like to re-sign or extend Jonathan Allen. Let me know what your guys' dream offseason is. Peace. And check out WinXDVD.